Here's something for you to work on. The choice of statistic is the starting point for the computations for assessing a model. How do you choose a statistic that will help you decide between your two viewpoints? Here, the data are results of 400 tosses of a coin, which we ask you to imagine, and you have two questions to answer. In part A, the choice of viewpoints is the coin is fair versus no, it's not. In part B, the choice is between the coin is fair and no, it's biased towards tails. In each part, work out a statistic that will help you decide between one or the other. We recommend that you choose a statistic such that large values of the statistic favor one of these hypotheses, or small values favor that hypothesis, but not both small and big. That gets complicated. Think about it. You've got the results of 400 tosses of a coin. In your head, you should be imagining a sequence of heads and tails. And you're trying to decide whether the coin is fair or not in one of the problems. In the other problem, you're trying to decide whether the coin is fair or biased towards tails. In each case, what's the right statistic to use? Pause the video. Think about it. Go back through the two examples that we did and come up with a statistic. We'll come back after countdown. 3, 2, 1. To work out what fair means, well, fair means around 50% heads, and we're not going to be terribly particular today about what around means. We'll get to understand that better as the course progresses. But 50% of 400 is 200, so a number of heads around 200 suggests that the coin is fair. It's when the number of heads gets far away from 200 that you start thinking, maybe this thing isn't fair. So, how to go about making the decision? In part A, you are trying to decide between fair versus not fair. Very large or very small values of the number of heads will make you lean in the direction of not fair. In other words, you're going to be looking at the distance between how many heads you get and 200. Not whether the distance is positive or negative, but whether the distance is large. So when you are trying to decide between fair and not fair, and there's two kinds of values of the number of heads that make you lean towards not fair, simplify. What is it that is suggesting not fair? It's how far from 200 without regard to sign. So include that in your statistic. How far from 200 without regard to sign is the absolute difference between the number of heads you got and 200. In part B, you are trying to decide between fair and bias towards tails. Well, what kind of values of the number of heads suggest bias towards tails? Small ones. Because if the coin is biased towards tails, there's going to be lots of tails. And so small values of the number of heads will make you lean towards bias towards tails. It's just fine to use the number of heads as a statistic here. If it's small, you lean towards bias towards tails. If it's not, if it's around 200, then you're good for fair.